helped me to go through it is my confidence in my ability to face failure and to learn from it. So accepting failure as an option, which was never been an option for me before, was a real starting point. And it's, I think, something that an entrepreneur should check first before going into an entrepreneurial experience.
Done a couple of workshops before with people who are not feeling good in their careers. They feel stagnating, they feel burnt out, but just taking the leap is very difficult for people, especially when you reach a certain level of career. It's difficult to just throw out everything and then start over.
What I'm seeing it as the second biggest revolution after internet. And my own belief is that it will really give better chances to our societies to reach a real equality. The future of work is a place where the same way we are today managing people and teams, we're going to have to manage teams of agents, AI agents.
Only 22% of AI professionals are women. Only 12% of AI researchers are women. And only 8% of the C suite positions in AI startups are women. So, congrats, you're one of those 8% globally.
I have companies today who refuse to use Gen AI for recruitment, for matching resumes with job desks, because they are afraid of all the biases that it can take.
Welcome, everyone. In today's episode of the Melting Spices podcast, we're joined by Wafaa Amal, CEO of Prisme.ai, a French award winning AI startup. This French-Moroccan leader with a rich background in engineering, corporate leadership, and entrepreneurship will share her journey from the world of payment systems to shaping the future of AI. We will discuss career shifts, the role of women in tech, and the power of personal branding in navigating career changes, all through the lens of her multicultural experience. Can you walk us through the key milestones of your journey from engineering school in payment systems to becoming a C-suite executive in an AI startup?
Oh, wow, that feels like a lifetime story.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely getting my engineering degree in IT is definitely one. Um, then I would say that every new challenge that I took on was a milestone itself. From deciding to go for more engaging consultancy projects, like being a program manager for the first authentication, vocal authentication project in France for a French bank, which was very innovative at that time. It was right before, way before Alexa and all the vocal stuff that we have. Then taking on a sales role, whereas I'm not graduated from business school.
With the school,
That
yeah.
was quite a bold challenge. At least this is the way people looked at it at that time. And also when I decided to leave a bright and shiny and a very highly promising career within an American corporate uh, for something that I didn't knew what at that time, that was kind of a risky take, but a key milestone that drove me where I am sitting today.
Okay. Um, let's talk about this a bit in depth because it's interesting to me, and I'm sure it's going to be interesting to anybody who would watch. What inspired you, as you said, to leave a bright, successful career? I'm just reminding anybody who watches us that you were in charge of I would say Europe, business development and sales for, as you said, a giant American company in the global payment industry. And then one day you decide to leave all this and start on your own in something that's quite different, that has nothing to do with payment, that has nothing to do with what you used to do. So, how did the trigger happen? What was the trigger, and how did you navigate it?
Well, actually, I would say there is a trigger, but there is also a whole journey. So, um, to begin, there was COVID, and a lot of people had suffered from that. And I was one of these people because I was like locked down in my small Parisian apartment for like 9 months. A lot of workload that we didn't expect because we had to invent new business models to compensate the losses and so on. So that was a big hit when it comes to how to handle it psychologically speaking. So this lockdown has accelerated somehow my thinking of what's really important in my life and the way I wanna lead my life. Also, there is another one that started before COVID, actually. It's the fact that decided in 2019 to start an executive MBA, which I did. So I started that right before COVID in September 2019. Obviously, I decided to put it on pause during COVID time, and I started back when we could go back to travel. But the point is, for the executive MBA, it opened my mind on the fact that actually anyone can do anything as soon as we want to. Also to the fact that I have all the capacity to have an entrepreneurial journey, whereas I never pictured myself as an entrepreneur before. And also, the third trigger was the fact that I ended up burning out in 2021. So, a severe burnout that led me to really reconsider all aspects of my life, that brought me through a real let's say, self-introspection journey, that also opened my mind to the fact that a lot of people around me was kind of struggling with the same struggle that I had, and not having the means to face it. And all this pushed me to say, okay, there is a pain in the society. I went through this pain myself, and maybe there is something that I can do about it in order to help people, and maybe share the things and the tricks that help me get out of this burnout to better life. So yeah, maybe there is a journey, the executive MBA plus the COVID whole thing, plus a trigger that was my own experience with burnout and how I managed to go and face it.
Okay, so you had, I would say, you faced a challenge and you turned it to an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly it. And the thing is, when you open up to new experiences, when you open up, when you take somehow risks, something magic happens and new opportunities comes to you. Even when you don't see exactly when you want to go, somehow there is a light and you try to pursue it, and this brings a lot of opportunities. And I feel like this is what happened to me since 2022 when I left my previous corporate company till now, 2025.
Yeah, okay. So it's 3 years, 3 years of new things, new challenges.
Exactly. And that was the most incredible 3 years of my life, I must say.
Nice. That's good. Actually, I've done a couple of workshops before with people who are not feeling good in their careers. They feel stagnating, they feel burnt out, but just taking the leap is very difficult for people, especially when you reach a certain level of career. It's difficult to just throw out everything and then start over. But as you said, sometimes when you just make the first step, you have new doors that open, and people need to like trust the process. And your
Exactly.
story is one of the inspirations. Yeah.
Exactly. And trusting the process is key, actually, because it means trusting self, which is not always easy,
Yeah.
because it means trusting our capacity to face our fears, um, and trusting that we have all the means in us to turn around risks, fears, and make something out of it, even weaknesses. And this is counterintuitive. It's not easy for our brain to think this way, I must say. And but once we manage to do it, once we manage to say, okay, what if I fail? Well, failure is just a learning step. That changes a whole mindset. And personally, it gave me a lot of strength to go through the process and to find a way for me to trust the process. But it's not something that it's easy. It takes a lot to find our way, because my way of trusting the process won't be yours, won't be someone else's. So everyone has its own way to do it, and everyone has to go through it in order to find it. And this is maybe the tricky part of this of this.
Yeah. Absolutely. We're going to talk about every step of the way with you in details, but just before starting, uh, did you ever, throughout the successes that you had, feel as a woman the imposter syndrome? Did you feel that, what am I doing here? Because maybe this is what we hear from both women and men. It's way easier for men to just enjoy their success, whereas for women, because of all the stereotypes and all the mental charge, it's kind of not as easy to just acknowledge that I've reached here to this level thanks to, well, God, but also my own effort.
Well, actually, I might give an answer to that that might surprise some people. Um, Actually, I never had, I think, the imposter syndrome. I
Okay.
have it in other areas, but I've never had it in my career path. Um, Maybe for two reasons. The first is that I never had a other choice except try and do all my best to success. Um, I had a family to support, brothers to support. So before, maybe this was the other negative thing in my past, is that failure was not an option. Today, it's an option, and it's making me even more powerful, and even more, I feel more strength since I allow myself to go through failure. But before, like since I remember, since I have a memory, since I was very young girl, failure was never a success till maybe my burnout. The other thing is that I'm the elder of three brothers. So I've been somehow raised as a guy, as a boy. Always played with my brothers and other boys. So somehow I never had this thinking of I'm a woman. I never felt a difference until
Okay.
my late years of in my career, in my professional life. But maybe until my 28, 30, early 30s, I've never felt that there is a difference for me as a woman. It was, actually it was, but I never allowed myself to see it.
Mm.
So no, I never felt the imposter syndrome. I never trusted chance. For me, chance doesn't exist because if I had to believe in chance, I would never have succeeded because the objectively the chances that I would have to succeed was very low. Rather than believing in chance, I always believed in ability to fix myself objectives, and this would give me and had always gave me clarity to see opportunities when they happens around. Uh, and because I have objectives, I had this ability to detect and see opportunities and then do my best to turn them into chance. So for me, chance is something that is very abstract that I don't really believe in. I only believe in capacity to fix objectives to myself and to turn opportunities because I know where I want to hit, turn opportunities to into chance. So when you don't believe in chance, when you don't see or you refuse to see differences between men and women, the imposter syndrome never really hated me. So I do have imposter syndrome when it comes to sports. Actually, I every single course race I would go through, uh, I can't stop myself just to wonder what am I doing here. Every single time I go through a race, it's always happening to me. I don't know why. And but I would never say it's just by chance that I crossed the arrival line. I always say no, I was well prepared. I did all I could in order to be able to to cross the finish line in a good shape, etc. So forth and so on. So no, the imposter syndrome never was there. I can stress. I do stress a lot, uh, but imposter syndrome and saying that this is just by chance, no, because I know that I do a lot of efforts to be where I am today. I did a lot of efforts and still do. And I also take everything seriously, and I'm a hard worker woman, no matter what we could say. So no, the imposter syndrome is not something that I feel, but I see it a lot, and it makes me feel sorry for all those people who would do that. And I try to, especially my friends, to help them open their eyes and minds on their capabilities and see
Mm.
why they are at the right place and why they deserve what they have and where they are.
Impressive, honestly, because yeah, many of us women do feel this. And I wanted to congratulate you also on completing the your latest marathon in Paris. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So one extra milestone, I would say. Um, so I will start with you from the end, from your recent experience, and then we'll go.
Okay.
Uh, let's talk AI.
Okay.
So, uh, whether we want it or not, is the trendiest topic, anyway. So, uh, let's start with your view on where do we stand currently in terms of AI? Like, what major trends do you see emerging?
Well, first of all, AI is not a new thing. There is artificial intelligence, what we call traditional artificial intelligence, and generative AI, which is the recent trend that is making artificial intelligence a topic for everyone. So making it accessible to everyone. Um, for me, we are still at the beginning. What we are going to see is much further, let's say, game changer than what we are already seeing today. Um, it might take some time. It might take, especially in corporates, because what we do in the company I'm leading today is scaling generative AI use within companies. So where do we stand? We stand in a spot where all all CEOs or C-level see value in using Gen AI, but there is still a lot of let's say showstoppers that we need to let's say treat before and manage before we go and have the use at scale like we can see it in order to bring that high value that can bring to companies. But for societies, we already see the impact. A lot of people are making businesses out of it. I mean, last week I had a trouble to start my car, and I called my brother to come and help. And his first reflex was to take a picture of all the system and ask ChatGPT how we can do it. And I was quite impressed to see how it was like just calling the assistants the way we would have done it 2 months ago. But his first reflex was to ask ChatGPT, and the answers was just impressive. So yeah, it's changing our everyday's um, life in all aspects, how to cook, from how to eat healthy, how to exercise, how to go from point A to point B. So it's literally changing our lifestyles, and it's also touching all generations. It's not only our generation. The way I'm impressed today to see my parents using WhatsApp and sending vocals on WhatsApp, I'm pretty sure that next time I'm gonna go and visit them, my mother will probably be asking ChatGPT how to for a recipe, how to do harira or whatever. So I'm pretty sure this is
None
what
of them
is
is true.
happening. So it's changing mindsets and way of living. Um, how I'm seeing it as the second biggest revolution after internet. And my own belief is that it will really give better chances to our societies to reach a real equality, in a sense that for me internet was a game changer. How do we call that, from let's say small neighborhood. My mother never had a chance to go to school, so basically there was nothing that would predict that I would do engineering school in France and have the career that I'm having today. And the starting point of that was internet. It's because of internet that I knew what engineering school was, how to get there, how to apply, and I managed to apply for engineering school, French engineering school from Morocco, from Casablanca, thanks to internet. So for me, today people will be able to learn new hobbies, to learn also new jobs, and to earn money and learn new languages and manage to have a better life thanks to generative AI, because it's a real opportunity to be at the same stand and to have real equalities. Um, Also for like 2 weeks ago, I have a woman who called, so a former colleague who called, and she asked, I'm being offered a tech position as a developer. It will require some real technical skills. And she's like 42 or 43. And she said, I think I'm too old to go through this kind of positions. But what's your take on that? And I said, look, today with generative AI, you can uh, describe what you wanna do in coding and ask for the machine to give you the whole code. And all you have to do is to challenge it, make sure it's not biased, check that it works exactly the way you want, and you can ask the machine to correct all the things that you're gonna detect. So going through a tech career is more than ever easier than it's easier than ever. So anyone would be able to do it. And maybe it's a chance also to have a real parity, a real gender balance in some jobs, where men have the monopolistic position in our day. So I see it positively. I'm very optimistic about it. And I think that if we use it wisely, it can be a real game changer to have a better world around us in all aspects. But the key word is to use it wisely.
Okay, I'll just take you one step back for non-techies who would be watching. Can you just explain what is generative AI? What is Gen AI?
Well, Gen AI is the tools that make artificial intelligence generative, meaning that it can generate automatically content based on historic or data or database knowledge base that we can provide to it. So we have, everyone knows today, ChatGPT that is provided by OpenAI, but we have other what we call language models. So we have LLMs, large model languages, or small model languages. It's basically the difference is the size of the model and how it's been built. But those model languages can be used to rather than, if I have to explain it easily, one thing that is very easy is instead of tapping a control F to read, to search for a word and bring back a context from a huge document, you can only put this document through the ChatGPT, for example, or Mistral or whatever language model we are using, and ask your questions. So you can talk today to your knowledge base. Like I can take a book and ask what happened after she hit the car. And it will bring me all the steps, for example. Or
You
you
mean the machine auto generates the prompt or whatever?
it can generate the prompt.
Okay.
Normally you have to build the prompt, but you can
Okay.
also use it to generate the prompt. But you can really it's a technology that can help you generate marketing content, generate slides if you want for so ever presentation based on documents that you will provide or data that you will provide, videos, pictures. So it's something that can really help people reduce all the non-added value tasks in order to be able to focus on the necessary steps or the more added value tasks that a human being can do. So I think that I answered more than the question, which it was explain what generative AI, but I hope that was clear. I don't know.
Yeah, it's clear. So, you just talked about your friend who wants to start like coding career at her 40s, and
Yes.
now it's way easier with the AI. At least she doesn't need to debug all the code that she would write for hours and hours, which reminds me of, let's say, when we started engineering schools or when we graduated, and everything was about coding and software and everything. And at some point, um, I would say all companies became software companies. Like we have fintech, we have travel tech, we have med tech. So now everything relies on software, actually. Even non engineers are actually manipulating softwares and customizing and the parameters and everything. So, do you think that the same will happen with AI in the
Yeah.
future?
Yeah. Completely convinced about that. For me, the future of work is a place where the same way we are today managing people and teams, we're gonna have to manage teams of agents, AI agents.
Okay.
So we already talking about agentic AI, which is ability to create specialized agents. One agent is a prompt that will have to rely on a context that you bring it to the aid that you describe it to the agent, rely on a knowledge base that you gonna allocate to this agent, and what is agentic is multi-agents, so many agents that will have to collaborate together, um, and will have full autonomy to take decisions and execute actions in your IT system.
Okay.
You can imagine that you can have, um, let's say, a market intelligence that will go check on your competition, bring some insights, those insights on prices, offerings, etc., that will communicate them to your marketing agent who is in charge of fixing the prices, defining the offerings, and will have to adapt your pricing, your offering based on the competition to make you stand ahead the market, for example, and then will share this maybe with product owners in order to do some adjustments, for example. And automatically you can have some small adjustments that are executed, plus the prices on the web, on your website or wherever, that are automatically updated in order to keep you ahead of the competition and keep your market share intact. So what I'm describing here is 3 or 4 agents plus the coordinator agent that will be on top. So maybe 4 or 5 that will collaborate together and execute autonomously some tasks and take autonomously decisions. So this is where we are heading at. Today is still experimental.
Mm.
Worldwide. In France and in Europe, we have some customers that are starting to experiment that. Even the Gartner report that has been released a few months ago said that worldwide, even in the US, in China, in Japan, there are some experiments, still nothing that is, let's say, on production at scale, but it's 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 evolving very, very fast, actually.
Mm.
We're about to see some stuff in this area emerging. But the point is, as I said, people will have to collaborate with AI agents. We're gonna have to learn how to do so. And on top of collaborating with AI agents and using them in our day-to-day job, we're gonna have to, as managers, learn and develop the skill of managing AI agents. So there is people management and it will be AI agent management, and how to bundle both those things. And for me, there will be something that is critical that will need to be more and more developed, is and this is about soft skills. There are some soft skills that unfortunately are going slow and being low and low within our capabilities, human capabilities, that we are going have to, and companies will have to kind of level up, such as critical thinking, such as ability to go and check all the sources, um, ability to do a fast analysis based on facts that you need to check first. So especially critical thinking will be key for us to succeed and be able to do this new kind of management and new kind of way to work that is popping at our faces very much quicker than we think, I guess.
You actually answered my upcoming question. Because yeah, I mean, we if we you read any scientific article, if you watch any video, you see that it's a very fast pace and that we need to keep up. And I was going to ask you, would do I would say technical people need to do to keep up, but also the general public, the end user, the ones who use ChatGPT, for example.
For me, critical thinking, as I said, is key one. There is also another soft skill, which is um, ability to learn continuously, but also ability to unlearn to learn, because there will be a lot of habits, a lot of reflexes that we need to be aware of, and be able to take a read off in order to learn fast new skills. Because today, for the hard skill lifetime is about 12 months. And this is going to be reduced more and more. So, whatever we learn at school, we need to be aware that it's not going to last. And we
Mm.
will have to learn new things continuously, faster and faster, in order to keep up. So, for me, those three things, critical thinking, ability to learn, and unlearn to learn, will be three key factors for anyone actually to be able to keep up with this new technology in the workplace.
Interesting. Um, okay, so for example, last few weeks there were many trends that OpenAI launched. The starter pack, the Barbie doll, the I don't know what. I'm not sure what's the purpose behind those trends. Is it just to gather information to for those agents to learn something new? But I remember I tried that starter pack challenge, and I remember you also did. And what the result I got is totally different from me, knowing that I thought that ChatGPT knew me very well because I really treat him as my personal assistant. So, but no, he didn't know me actually. He thought I was a man. He thought I was from another ethnicity. So where do you think those biases come from? Why would ChatGPT think that I am a man?
Well, it comes from a lot of things. First, the way it's been built. Who built this technology? It's mainly men, white men from a Western. So with some biases, there's not a lot of diversity in there. So the way it's been built is with a unique way of thinking that is highly dangerous. The other source of those biases is the, let's say, the load of information and the knowledge base that is based on, which is internet mainly. And
Mm,
internet is highly biased because historically it's been used and fed by the same typology of men. Not too much women, not too much people from Africa, from India, from Asia, from other countries and continents. So we have a way of thinking that is quite monopolistic, and this drives to a certain kind of biases that are very dangerous. And this is one of the reasons why I'm saying that critical thinking is key, and ability to use Gen AI in a responsible way, in an ethical way, is key in order to make it positive for our societies. So yeah, and I've tried it as well, the starter pack, but I also just simply ask a question. I asked to deliver an image of a CEO of a startup, a tech startup. Obviously, he brought me a picture of a man of a certain age in a suit and and the tie, and with a tie. And when I asked him, can it be a woman? Does it have to be a man? Then it brought me a picture of a woman, but a woman that highly looks like a man, actually, like
okay.
with a tie. So I said, does it have to look like a man? Can it be feminine? I asked for a woman CEO. And then I had a blonde with the blue eyes. So I had really to challenge it in order to bring and bring it to a picture of a woman that somehow looks like me. But it was tough. Like it took me 10 questions uh, in order to get there. So biases are real, biases are there, and we really need to be very careful about that. Like I have companies today who refuse to use Gen AI for recruitment, for matching resumes with job desks, because they are afraid of all the biases that it can take. What I'm trying to explain to them is that there is a way, and to avoid that, and they must use it and use those ways to avoid that, because this is one way to get rid somehow of biases. It will take a lot, it's a long shot, but
Yeah.
everyone who can do any action in order to train the technology to come around those biases are key in order to get rid of them, and matters actually. So yeah, biases are real. Impacts of those biases can be catastrophic.
Mm.
uh, at the same time, having a good use of the technology, learning how to prompt, which is a hard skill that would be necessary more, can really help avoid those biases in practical way using the technology in daily job or life.
Yeah, true. Um, let's talk about this. One of these biases, the fact that AI imagines a CEO as a man. And I've looked up few numbers, both in the AI field, but also in the aviation industry where I come from. And for AI, only 22% of AI professionals are women, only 12% of AI researchers are women, and only 8% of the C suite positions in AI startups are women.
Yeah.
So, congrats, you're one of those 8% globally, um, which was triggering to me. So I thought, okay, maybe AI is not that old. Let me check the aviation industry, which is way older. And then I came across numbers, I would say, as low as this, especially in the technical and operational fields. And there are many actually initiatives to increase the numbers. Like in my last job, we were two ladies, and one other lady joined with at least 10 other men colleagues. So, um, why is this? You being
Well,
a woman in the field.
why am I, or why
No,
is, yeah,
why is this scarcity of
yeah.
women?
Well, first, to start, women started to invest the professional life and the business side of life since 50 years, 60 maybe.
Okay,
Whereas men have always been there.
okay.
It changes the way of thinking of it. 50
Mm.
years since we start having position,
Empowering women.
not even empowering, starting to have a job in some countries, the right to vote, the right to have a payment card and a bank account. Is quite new, is less than 70 years in many countries, like in France, for example. So
Okay.
you can't just be 50-50 if you have 200 years being late in a field. So this
Mm,
is mathematical. It's
mm,
just maths. This is the first one. The second is that women usually, because they weren't investing the career and the professional life, they were 100% focusing on the family and the house. So it's still the case, because no matter what studies a woman would do, no matter the career she would have, she's still investing at least 20-30% of her time, more than the man she's living with, into the house and the family. So there is something that is natural. Giving birth would take you from your career for at least 3-4 years within your life if you have 2-3 kids. So it's 2-3 years just for having the baby. Then you have to be there for their school lessons, all the family stuff, where you're investing time and energy that you are not putting in your career. So this will just take you
Reflect.
back and keep you from having highest position, or at least not having them as early as we can see today. We're starting to see some change there. So
Mm,
it doesn't happen. It will not happen just overnight.
mm,
It will take time. um, and the other thing is that when there are a lot of things that we can change, and they are changing, but it's not as fast as it should be, to my opinion, is representation. A lot of women, a lot of little girls won't picture themselves as CEOs of companies, as astronauts, as um, doctors, as because they simply don't see it in their everyday life. They
mm,
don't
mm,
have role models to look up to, and to picture themselves, to be able to picture themselves in those positions. So we need to do something about that as well. Um, Little boys would see presidents, men, they would see CEOs that are men. It's just natural, it's just normal to think it's possible. For a little girl, it's not easy. It's not natural to look up to such career. It will be easier to hold a doll and look up to be a mother. Not for every woman, of course, not for every girl, but mostly this is what's happening and still happening. So representation matter. Personally, I take it as a duty to share my career path, to share my journey, to talk about it, because I think it's my responsibility to share that. In order, if I can inspire only one woman, it's already a gain. And I think that every woman who is in such a position has a duty and a responsibility to share that, and to make it easier for other young girls to imagine it's possible. So I think it's a lot of factors. It's different. It's historical factors. It's the way society is sending signs, sending pictures to new generations. And it's also within the way we are concretely treating job desks within companies. Like, for example, in the company I'm working with today, which is a Gen AI scale up, I'm the only woman. We are 15. All the others are men. And it was the willingness of the founder to have a women CEO just to compensate, because he felt it's necessary and it's important to bring women in the AI era. So this is his way of doing it, by bringing me as a woman to represent the society and to be his new CEO. But when I arrived, one of the things that I've done is that I checked all the job desks that has been published since the beginning of the company, since they started to hire, and I could easily see a few things to change in order to make it easier for a woman to say, maybe I should apply. And a lot of companies can do those things, and some.
Can you mention one of these things? What can
Example,
yeah.
in French, it's much easier to give examples, because,
Mm,
for example, when you look for directeur de projet, if you say directeur de projet, it's masculine by definition. The word is masculine. Whereas if you say
mm,
responsable de projet, responsable can be a woman or a man. If that's
mm,
if you want to avoid the inclusive way of writing, which would be directeur ou directrice, which makes it
mm,
long. It's not easy for the SEO. It's not
mm,
very
mm,
productive, but just change it by responsable de.
mm,
So make sure that, especially in a language like the French language, that it's easier in English because it's
yeah, it's
easier. But still, there are some biases that would bring the job desk to a man and not put the push-up notification to a woman. That's another thing. But at least in France, those things would be essential in order to make women more interested in such positions.
Mm.
And there is one thing that it's not from me, but I heard it from the current CEO of ADN, which is the Bank of Merchants, Global Bank for Merchants. In France, she said that they just added a sentence at the end of each job desk saying, if you think, even if you think that you don't have all the capabilities for this job, apply.
Mm.
She said that just adding this sentence increased the number of female applying to their job positions by
Oh,
more than 30%.
but
Just
why would you think? Why would you think? Because this is like not gender related. Why would it apply to women?
Well, it is gender related because there are studies that would show that showed that women would not apply would to a job unless they think they have at least 95% of capabilities that are requested. Whereas a man with 20%, he would just go and apply. And
Okay.
and this is this is a fact. This is a fact, and I keep hearing it.
Mm.
I saw it a lot within my previous company during my whole career. Today, I have a lot of friends who would call and say, "There is this job. It's very interesting, but I'm afraid I don't speak Spanish." Who cares? You speak.
Mm.
You can learn Spanish, more of all. So it's it's for some men it's the case they would have the same concerns, but it's more likely and more likely for a woman to think that way. So and I've seen it, like for example, you asked me about the imposter syndrome and I said I
Mm.
know I've never think I think I've never had it. um and there is one other explanation is that I've never applied for a job for which I thought that I had more than 40% of required capabilities. If I have more than 40%, I would never apply to that job. For one reason is because I know that it will take me 6 months to be like a lion in a cage and want an exit because I would have nothing to learn more. So I need a learning curve. And there is the simplest thing to have a learning curve is not having all the capabilities. So
Mm.
so yes, it impacted directly, and they tracked that with with numbers. It directly impacted the number of female applying to their job, and this is a fact. So
Mm.
and there are a lot of things that you can do in order to increase chances that female would be interested. Also, there is in the management mindset, we need to stop asking women to think as a man. Because if we want real diversity, we need
Mm.
to accept a woman as she is. So stop asking women to be bold. Uh, Being bold is not the main criteria of a woman. She has other criteria, she has other positive things. So stop asking a woman to act and think like a man. And start by, for example, go into a woman, a good manager, whether a man or a woman manager, would be someone, if you believe that this woman would do, and if you know that she has an imposter syndrome, stop saying if she wants it, if she has the motivation, she has to show it. No, go and tell her why she is the best person for this position and empower her to consider it. Stop asking her from her to act like a man and just be bold and go and say, I can do it. I'm the best person for this job. Whereas this is typically masculine. Not all men act like that, uh,
Mm.
but it's mainly typically masculine. So real diversity starts there as well. Starts by accepting a woman as a woman and stop
Mm.
asking from her to act like a man.
True, true. And do you think that bringing more women or allowing more women into the AI industry will, of course, it will impact um, at least these biases. But in which other way do you think having women involved in AI will improve it?
Well, it will makes it for real for everyone. Because a woman thinks of a lot of stuff that a man would not even consider.
Yeah.
If we take the example of the aviation industry, um, the way the suitcase are
The
positioned,
rack.
I
Oh,
don't know how would we call it?
rack.
The rack.
Yeah.
It's made basically for men.
Okay.
If we had enough female engineer working there and making their voice heard, maybe they would have found another solution to make it accessible to everyone. So
Mm,
a woman typically would arrive to a building, and if she is in charge of a way of structuring a building, she would think of, okay, there is only stairs. It's not accessible to everyone because she had to manage a baby with I don't know how we call it, the
stroller.
stroller. So she experienced it. So she would
Yeah.
think of it and she would make buildings that are accessible to everyone, to anyone who are on a roll chair or whatever. So having women in every industry would make any service that the industry is delivering accessible to everyone, which will make the business even profitable. Uh,
Mm,
Even in the meds industry, if we check, there are a lot of meds that are
mm,
being described to women, whereas it's not efficient at all. Like
true.
the
Yeah.
Spasfon, I've always been told when you have your period pain, take Spasfon, it will go away. It never worked. It never worked. It's
Yeah.
just a joke. And once I have my brother who had not obviously not a period pain, but another kind of pain, and he've been subscribed the Spasfon, and it worked wonderfully well for men because all the tests are
Mm,
being done on men and also on male. How do we call it? The How do we call it? The rats for
yeah. Lab rats or
lab rats that
yeah.
are male and not female. So
Yeah.
in all industries, we could see that services that are being delivered are not inclusive, sorry, are not really efficient and effective for women. Uh,
Mm,
and having women in each industry, having
mm,
gender balance will increase innovation, will accelerate innovation, and more importantly, will make any service, any innovation more inclusive and accessible and effective for everyone, not only
mm.
for women, but also for elder, for disabled people, for anyone. And it's really critical to have this gender balance reached.
True. Um, let's move to something else, but that has to do with diversity. So you have a dual identity, I would say. You're Moroccan, you're French. Do you think it it shaped your approach to leadership and innovation in a more efficient way, a more interesting way?
Well, in a different way that is interesting because innovation requires differences, diversity.
Yeah.
Um, so there is also somehow a kind of optimism that has been that I owe to this diversity because um, there are some stuff that people would not even see as French people, I mean, that have never changed country or traveled or knew another culture as a fatality. Whereas for me, there's only opportunities because I have no other chance again, but except creating opportunities and seeing them. So, so yeah, I think that in terms of of innovation and ability to see um, only solutions. That I owe to the fact that I've been in between those two cultures, and especially from my origin, Morocco. And when I say Moroccan background, it's not only the origin and the country, but also all the background that is around it, the family I've been raised in, the means that I've been raised by, etc. And when it comes to leadership, I think that I have a way of being more, let's say, inclusive in my way of thinking. Um, and in a way, I try to better bet on a potential rather than require proofs. So, and this is also something that is typically asked for from a woman. Usually we ask more track record, more proofs to a woman, whereas we would go and bet on a potential for a man. So
Mm.
for me, I've done in the past some recruitment choices where everyone was, oh my God, what is she doing? Why is she
Okay.
proving his application or her application? Well, it's because I could see something. I could feel potential, and I could see accordance in values. So I really try to um, put more, let's say, importance into those things rather than the school you're coming from, or what I call l'élitisme that I really hate, of being graduated from this or this school. Yes, schools have a certain potential that can bring into a personality, to a background, to a way of thinking. Yep, but it's not only that. If
Mm.
we have a team of people who have graduated from a certain school, but also people who are different, who have done things that are completely different, will have something for sure to bring into the business, into the table. So, and that I think I've learned it from the fact that I've seen people succeeding with uh, really very low and small means, nothing. They had nothing, and they made a lot out of these small things that they had at the beginning. And this is a real potential. So, so I think that this is something that's really impacting my leadership style, and that is coming from my
Dual background.
my dual background. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there is a saying that says every culture adds a lens, and when you stack enough lenses, you see the full spectrum. So well, we just talked about your dual nationality. You're quite traveled. You've traveled quite a lot. During your executive MBA, you had met with many colleagues from um, many parts of the world. How do you think that too influenced your leadership style?
In a huge way,
Okay.
I must say. Um, well, within my executive MBA, in my cohort, we had 34 nationalities
Okay. Wow.
among 120 people. So it's quite a lot. Um, and coming from an international company, I was already holding a European position at that time. So I was working with more than 30 countries around across Europe, essentially, plus US and India. And yet, having this experience within the executive MBA was a life changing. It pushed me to put another lenses on, um, because during the executive MBA, we had a lot of assignments. So assignments was small projects that we had to deliver, and all assignments were to be done into groups, 4, 5 to 6 people per project. And the thing is that those people you're working with are all ambitious, have all a certain, let's say, charisma, a way of thinking that is completely different from yours, a way of working that is coming from completely different from yours, from mine at least. And they also come on top of the difference of cultures. They come from different industries. We had 14 different, one, four different industries. And a way of working for someone who comes from automotive, for example, is not the same, where you will have to manage 300 people when you are 25-year-old and being an engineer, and you have to manage technicians, is not the same as when you are from the tech industry and 35 years old, you've managed maybe once, two, three people. So, and where when doing those assignments, no one was the boss. We
Mm.
had to find a ground where we can all collaborate, and when we can all speak the same language, except we didn't. So it was really, really tough.
Yeah.
Uh, but the main thing that I've learned is that people can disagree with you, and still our relation could be fine, and still we can find a common ground. Uh, uh, it's not let's say, you can disagree with me, you can be right, I can be somehow right.
Mm.
And when you understand that, different perspectives would bring to different outcomes. um, it's not always easy to make it work and to find the common ground, but there is a real opportunity to really open up your mind and to start to see, rather than 90%, 90 degrees of your way of seeing, maybe 180. And then you open up it again a bit more until you see really different colors, different way of thinking, different perceptions. And where I used to see one opportunity, I started to say three, four, 10, um, from the same picture. And this is really opening up to a new world. It was huge in a sense that I hate the unique way of thinking. I always hated that. It's what leads um, to lack of democracy, to very bad things. But I still used to think that I still had difficulties to discuss with someone who had completely different, opposite way of viewing things. Whereas
Mm.
now I have more. It's more easy for me to think, to discuss in a calm way and to see the perspective of the other. And this is really highly enriching because it's mind blowing. It opens your mind in a way that is just incredible, and it makes you a better person and a better leader, actually.
Now let's zoom in the moment where many people hesitate. I'm rolling back again a little bit more. Leaving a stable career to build something from scratch. So we talked about the turning point that made you take the first step. Um, we talked about how the executive MBA enlarged your horizon and how you see more opportunities. I want to talk about how did people around you react? Did your entourage support you? Were they scared for you? Uh, how did you manage people's opinion? And what piece of advice would you give to people who are now where you were back at that time?
Well, luckily, I had people who supported me. And one surprising thing for me was that my family meaning my brothers and my parents supported me. I thought it would be the hardest support to get, but I was wrong, obviously. So they all were finally. We were all wondering when will she work for herself and not
Oh,
having a.
good.
So that was a big surprise for me. I didn't expect it, to be honest. I also had some friends who believed in me more than I believed in myself. Um, and I had some other people who were surprised, who didn't understand. And I will always remember this former colleague who told me, if you want to change career, if you want to be an entrepreneur, do it, but at least stay in your industry. You have a huge network. You don't even have an idea what this network worth. It worth a lot. You should at least consider staying in your industry. And the point is that I wanted to change industry. I wanted to see something else. It was like a huge saturation of the payments industry. I love this industry. It gave me a lot. Um, I might even return to it one day because I really likes this industry. But at that time and still today, I couldn't picture myself in it anymore. And people had some trouble to understand that, to leave uh, almost 15 years career, a huge network, a credibility and the legitimacy that I built, that I put a lot of effort into building it. But inside me, I knew that the same way I built this career in the payment industry, I can rebuild it anywhere else and in any other industry. So I had this belief inside me, which was important and fueled me and my motivation. Um, but still, you always have moments of doubt. But those moments, what helped me to go through it is my confidence in my ability to face failure and to learn from it. So accepting failure as an option, which was never been an option for me before, was a real starting point. And it's, I think, something that an entrepreneur should check first before going into an entrepreneurial experience. How are you able to accept, to learn from a failure? If you're not someone who can handle, manage, accept failure, though, don't try, don't even
Yeah.
try it, because you're gonna have a lot of those once you do entrepreneurship. Um,
I would say, sorry, I'm going to cut you, but I would say accepting failure just as one step of the journey in everything. Like, even if you change from one industry to another in the corporate world, you might think that you like something, but experience it and then, no, I don't like it. I'm going to go back to my industry or a different job. Or so it's just okay.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It's key, especially in entrepreneurship, because in one day you will have three, four failures, one, two, three good news, and you need to learn how to deal with that. So this is my first advice to anyone who would consider changing career and go into entrepreneurship. The other one is to check up and learn and find the means on how to manage your emotions. It's a skill that, for me at least, I've never learned before. And I'm grateful that I had this burnout that went me that drove me through, that made me do therapy, during which I learned how to deal with my emotions and how to handle them and how to manage them instead of just pushing them away and ignoring them. As an entrepreneur, you would go through a lots of emotions into the same day. You are happy, you are furious, you are angry, you are excited, you are disappointed. It's your whole day is like this.
Yeah.
So you need to know how to handle this, because if you want to last on the long run, which is important, obviously, you need to find your way into doing this. This is really important. And the third advice that I would give, it's more practical one, um, is manage your finances.
Mm,
Check in your finances and make sure that you can invest into this journey, because it will take some investments. You will have to pay some stuff. You have to invest into maybe some courses, some material, etc. So you need to have cash available for you to live, for you to invest into your company.
mm,
And this is really important, because I've seen a lot of new entrepreneur who made choices under stress because of the money. They would be they would lose focus on what they are doing, what they are targeting, just because there are opportunity here and there, and lose focus on their main objective, just because they need to eat, just because they need to feed the fridge. And this
mm,
is really something that is dangerous for your project and for your target as an entrepreneur. So this is more of a practical one. Check on your finances, check on your available cash, and make sure,
plan ahead, you mean?
plan ahead, and
Mm,
make sure that your business plan is in accordance with the cash that you have available.
mm,
Because if you have a family to handle, if you have even just yourself, your house to pay, your
mm.
furniture, etc., you need to make sure that you have this covered before changing this career. So it's
Yeah, sure.
a
Yeah,
really
completely agree with all the points you mentioned. Um, there is only one point that I didn't dig deeper into understanding, and that you mentioned now, which is the emotions. Um, when you say manage the emotions, in which way and what type of emotions?
all type of them. You're gonna be tired. You're gonna have some moments where you just lose faith, you lose motivation. You're gonna have moments where you're gonna be angry because you didn't get this contract that you were hoping and so badly to get. uh,
Mm,
you're gonna have a huge excitement for opportunity that you're about to get, but you can't talk about it. um,
mm,
you have a lot of emotions that you need to be able to learn what is it
mm.
first, and to understand it,
Yeah.
to accept it, to treat it, to manage it, um, for the good emotions, but also for the bad ones. Um, how to step out of a conversation because you're not gonna manage it well, either with your business partners, your customers, your employees, because when you are in a startup, you can't afford to lose even one person for 2 days. So you need to take their own emotions, because they didn't choose to
Yeah.
start a startup. So you are in charge. So you need to be able to understand their emotions. In order to understand other emotions, you need to be able to manage yours first.
Mm, mm,
So so it's really, really critical, and in all your day. It can be during negotiation as well, when you are in the middle of a negotiation with a customer. If you are able to read between lines and to detect what's going on in terms of emotions, and you do a, a ground play based on the emotion that you perceive and manage it well, you can win in a
mm,
negotiation, just because it's a skill that you have developed and you are able to play with. So it's something that we neglect in our societies, that we neglect during our learning journey in schools. And
mm,
it's highly unfortunate, because the more AI will take grounds, the more these skills will be necessary.
mm.
And we are even starting to talk about emotional AI. We are starting to do
Okay.
research on that. Um, So yeah, back to the entrepreneur and emotions. It's highly critical to be able to read self, to read and manage our emotion. And I know even some a lot of CEOs, of course, would get coaches, personal coaches, to help them through this journey. But I know some others, and I'm one of them who would have a therapist. So I have my
Mm,
therapist who's still there, who I would take an appointment with. Each time it becomes heavy, it becomes hard to keep up with.
mm, mm.
It's it's for me, it's a part of the job. In order to be a good leader, a good CEO, and reach the objectives, I need all kind of support I can get, and
Of course.
having a psychological support that I need is really highly essential, and it's also a gift that I'm offering myself.
Yeah, that is true. Talking about support, did you have any mentorship, a mentor or any of your peers who had the experience before you and accompanied you when you were starting?
Entrepreneurship, you mean?
Yes.
My God, I think I didn't.
Okay.
I've had mentors during all my career, basically. But when I started entrepreneurship, actually, I didn't. I
Okay.
had advices
Mm,
around, and one of them is actually my current business partner. So is Antoine Adila Marcha, who is the founder of the company I'm working with. I'm part of today. Because it was the he is the only close friend actually who has created and built his own company
mm,
scratch. So whenever I needed advice, I reached out to him. Um, but except from that, I was more surrounded by other women entrepreneur mainly that I've met in the because there was two steps. First, I tried to create my own company, so I spent 1 year and a half working on that. During all this time, I was relying on Antoine Adil for my whenever I needed help, basically. And then I joined Prisme.ai as a CEO. And actually, I was using Prisme.ai as a platform to create my own product.
okay.
Uh, Having him as a mentor, then I was also somehow his client. So he was providing some technical support as well. But yeah, as a real mentorship as an entrepreneur, I'm afraid I didn't have any.
Okay. So it was just advices you would get from Antoine Agile or
The
from
closest thing
the.
for mentorship that I had is
Okay. Oh,
so
okay. Okay.
yeah, I'm just realizing that right.
Yeah, yeah. Because usually, yeah, it's like for example, if I want to start something on my own now, I would ask you. I have two, three other friends who also started on their own, even though the different fields, different industries, but at least you went through the struggle. So I know how to start. I know what to do. I think it helps. I'm also part of a women leaders and founders network uh, in the Middle East, which is called Playbook, and it helps actually. You can just drop a question on WhatsApp, and then you'll get 100,000 of replies, and it's really helpful.
That I had. That I
Okay,
had. I'm a part of a lot of WhatsApp groups. Thanks to
okay,
the first incubator I was a part of, I met
okay.
a lot of other mainly because it was a incubator for women, so women entrepreneurs. Um, Most of them have been through a previous entrepreneurship experience. So, but they didn't take the role, and I didn't take them as
Mm,
mentors. They
mm,
were
mm,
there
mm,
to support, and it's really essential to start to have this kind of networks. Uh,
mm,
People who you can, as you said, drop questions. Usually it's WhatsApp groups. I have like maybe
mm,
10 or 15 of those on my WhatsApp. So this is really useful. But a mentor, in a sense that of someone you can reach out anytime specifically for you, etc.
Mm.
No, except from Adil Antoine, I didn't have that as an entrepreneur. I had it before, but not as an entrepreneur.
Okay, yeah. Um, do you remember your biggest challenge when you first funded your own startup? Can we talk about it? What did you want to do?
Well, I created a company that's called Willivate, that had one mission to help leaders to develop their leadership skills and their soft skills. So I did it through two means. The first is to be coaching people on a leadership methodology that is called Total Leadership. I'm a certified coach from Total Leadership. So this is quite traditional, but the model is quite let's say innovative in a way that it tackle leadership not only from the perspective of work. So leadership is not something that you need to develop just only at work, but also in the family area, the social sphere of yours. So family, friends, sorry, and basically your social environment, and also within self as body, spirit, and mind. So how you manage to have this four-way view of leadership in order to make the most of it and try new things. So it's quite exciting as a leadership methodology. And the other mean of doing my mission within Willivate was to create a 100% dematerialized coach. So basically an agent, an
Okay,
agent, um, in order to help people in companies who don't have access to to budgets to get access to a human coach, because we know that it's usually only something that is available for C-level people. So the idea was to democratize coaching and make it accessible to all people
yeah. Okay.
within a company. Um, and yeah, I started to create this solution using Prisme.ai. And the main challenge that I faced, and it's one of the reasons why I accepted Prisme.ai offering to join them, um, is I was struggling to sell my own product.
Mm,
It was I've been doing sales like for 6 years. More than half of it was business development, so basically hunting
mm,
prospects. And I was completely freezing when it comes to go out and try and do business development and sell my own product.
mm,
Um, it was really, really highly difficult. And this was one of the discussions that I had with Antoine Adil as a mentor. So I said, look, I don't know if this is something that you experience when you try to go and sell out Prisme.ai, or that, because obviously he had some sales at that time, or you had experience in the past. And he said, yeah, absolutely. And it's still a struggle for me. This is why I decided to buy to pay someone to do my business development, because it's very hard for me to sell something that I've created myself.
mm, mm,
So this was my real main struggle. I was like freezing when it comes to take my phone and making calls to explain the project and to get business to get meetings basically with
yeah.
prospects. I was very, very bad at it, whereas usually I'm quite good at in sales. So this was my biggest struggle, and this is one of the reasons why I accepted Antoine's offer and when he offered me to join.
This is actually very common. Like many people would be good at sales, but not at selling their own capacities or their own service or their own product. It's actually very common. We need to dig deep into it to understand. Okay, and then when you joined Prism AI, now we're allowed to say the names. Um, so they obviously had already had a team, you said, of 13 people, all men.
Yes.
And then there you are, the only woman. How did it feel when you just started?
Well, it felt natural in a sense because I knew already almost half of the team. At least I heard of them. They heard of me. I was a customer of theirs, so I was treating and working with some of them. Um, there is something that made it really easy is that those people are around a man who is the founder, who is Antoine Adil. And if they are around him, is because there is a common ground in values, in core value. And if I'm a friend, because originally he's one of my friends, my oldest friends, like you, we met almost the same year, me and you and him. And if we are still friends 23 years later, is because we have common core values. So this made it easy for them to accept me and to welcome me, and easy for me to find my place within the team. Um, I think that this is really essential when you start a business, you create a startup, you don't have much of the resources, so it's highly important to focus on the core values and to hire and bring people to your team based on common core values. So this made it really really easy, um, and then it helps in the day-to-day work on the way you read people, the way you reach out to them, the way you talk to them, and it was quite quick for me to create links to have these relationships with them, and then as a woman, uh, it was very, let's say, uh, surprising to me to hear the language that is used.
Okay.
For example, whenever they would talk about our customers or preparing a demo or whatever, they would use the he, never the she.
Okay.
For French people, the French speakers, they would understand. They would say, le mec va faire ci, il va faire ça, le bonhomme fera ci, il va coder. So it was all in the language. It was all masculine oriented. So I'm still working on that. Every time I had to tell he or she, what he or she. It could be she, right? So
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
it's this is something that really struck me, and I can understand why is it this way. It's because the numbers that you shared before, most meetings, if not all meetings, I'm the only woman.
Yeah.
People would connect and say bonjour messieurs et madame, hi gentlemen and lady, and they are surprised when they see me.
Okay.
um, only see men around the table. So they only speak to men as well, since they only they see is men. So it's I'm still it's for Antoine, it's already we had a discussion once, and I think I found a way to make it stick into his mind. So now he's he's even worse than me into correcting people when it comes to that. But yeah, it was the most striking thing that I've noticed when I started. But when it comes to collaboration, the the common ground in terms of core values made it very smooth and easy to work with these guys. I
Amazing.
hope for them to work with me.
Well, I think at least Adil shares the same view. Last time he looked super happy at least. Okay, so looking back at your career path, How important do you think your personal brand, as in your image, your values, etc., was in navigating your transition between your corporate roles, between your entrepreneurial roles, etc.?
Well, in my corporate role, I was working in a niche. The payment is a really small niche. Everyone knows everyone, especially when you are only working in the French space. Then if you go European, it's a different matter. But obviously, everyone ends to by knowing everyone. Um, and I had kind of a reputation. So sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad.
Specify what kind of reputation.
Basically, I had a reputation of a doer, obviously. So in French, they used to say, tu peux l'appeler en pompier, she would get things done.
Okay.
Um, and the other thing that wasn't always positive is jumping from a position to another quite fast. It wasn't for me. It wasn't fast. It was just normal. But for the industry,
Mm,
people would stay 3 to 5 years within the same position, which is ages for me.
mm,
I knew from the beginning that it's a no-brainer that I won't stay that long in a one position.
mm.
So I had a kind of a stamp of an unstable person because it,
Oh,
there are some people like me in the industry, but not too many,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah. I
Um,
think, sorry, again, I'm going to cut you, but we need to work more on just normalizing this. I mean, as you said, when you are a high potential person, there is a learning curve. And then once you hit the top of the learning curve, either you need to upgrade your current position into something better, more challenging, or it's just normal and it's actually beneficial for the company that you jump to another role.
exactly,
Change is the only constant. It's 2025. We need
exactly,
to just normalize this actually and
exactly.
celebrate it. It's a good thing.
And especially that I'm a person who could go from very good at her job to very bad at what she's doing very quickly as soon as I get annoyed.
Oh,
So
the
so I
boredom.
when I get bored, it's very difficult for me to keep up with the job. And
Mhm,
I know it, and my managers knew it. At least the good managers that I had knew it and could see it. So
mm,
I was in a way I was protecting myself and also protecting the company. So
mm,
so this is one repetition that I think um, for some people it was a plus within Mastercard, the corporate company, it was more seen as a positive thing because there is a culture of up or out, so they saw it as a positive thing. But in others, sometimes it was, especially in the consultancy, when you could put someone within a mission, customer is happy, and you could just keep billing
mm,
3, 4, 5 years. Well, with me, people had to work and to do the job and to find me a mission each year. So I can
mm,
understand why it could be pissing off. But I had chosen very quickly a good company who could understand this and keep up with this and accepted this, which helped a lot with my career. Um, but yeah, this is something that wasn't always seen as positive. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And the other thing is that, especially in the sales area, um, I know that people used to say that you should never uh, go and step a foot on Wafa's territory. Um,
okay. Fierce.
the sentence was that si tu pisses sur le territoire de Wafa, elle t'arrache la tête.
That's bold. Okay.
Because, well, in sales, it works by accounts, by territory. And some people would like to go and take all the gain, the good, the greetings and the stuff. And some have tried when I started, especially I was the new one who is not coming from a business school. So we could try, and the first who tried have seen the consequences.
Okay.
So so yeah, but in this my managers always seen it as a positive things, because they knew that I would always protect our business and protect our team, and that I have the fears to do it. Um, so so yeah, and I had also I've been chased by other companies who somehow knew that because someone have told them or whatever. So I had two companies chasing, and they saw it as a positive thing because they knew that I would protect their business. uh,
Mm,
and today I still keep it. And I see that not everyone, now that we are not a big team in a corporate, I could see that a lot of people were like me. But today within the startup, I could see that sometimes there are some reflexes that can really protect a brand, especially when you are building a brand. You can't take any chances about your reputation. So whenever there is something that would touch to our reputation, I would go all over the place. I would check A, B, plan B, plan C, in order to make sure that this is not going broader, this is not going wider, and that I'm protecting it. So
Um, Now we're almost at the end of the interview, so we'll just talk about slightly light stuff. I'm going to talk about lifestyle.
mhm.
Uh, you said you were a hard worker. You said you went through a burnout before. What's the your current and ideal lifestyle that enables you to just thrive and have the energy to thrive? Like you said, you're a runner, you do a lot of sports activities, physical activities. You mentioned you have a strong support system, your family and friends, the networks, the incubators, etc. How do you tackle now the work-life balance after your burnout with the total leadership knowledge that you have at the moment? I don't know, the whole lifestyle, meditation, you believe, everything.
Well, before my burnout, I used to think or to chase the work-life balance.
Okay.
And I ended up eventually thinking that um, it can't be real, and that I have to sacrifice something in order to get something. And the easiest thing for me at that time was to sacrifice family, sport, all the other stuff, work
Mm,
life balance, sacrifice life in order to have the work and the career.
mm,
And this is what led me basically to my burnout.
mm,
So, for a start, today, I don't believe into balance anymore. Rather to chase in balance, I try to um, have what we call a greater harmony between all my life domains, between my family life, my community life, my personal life as an individual, and my work life. So I'm trying to find smarter ways in order to make all these things work
mm,
together. And I'm trying to, I had to learn again how to be happy in other areas than work. So I used to be happy only at work and within my career. So I had to learn again how to diversify my uh, happiness portfolio somehow. Uh,
okay.
so I started to enjoy sports. Now I'm loving it. It's one component that is essential for my own harmony. I learned again how to really connect with friends and family, to be really there when I'm with them. So I prefer rather spend one quality hour with them rather than spending 2 3 hours and not really having meaningful conversations, connection, etc. And more importantly, I learned how to position myself as the most important person in my own life. Because if I'm not uh, treating myself that way, if I'm not feeding myself, I can't feed any of the areas of my life. I can't feed well my work. I can't feed well my friends, my family. I can't feed well my anyone who is around me. So those are the things that I'm really very careful about today. So work is in my sports is in my work agenda, for example. So I try always to have sports challenges just to avoid that I would just let go on that and lose myself into work, because it's my way of being. I know that. I just need to handle it. And this is my way of handling it. So I would have 2 3 challenges a year, sports challenges that would push me to keep training, to take time for that, which is also helpful for work. Because when you take a step back, you gain in clarity and then into effectiveness and efficiency. I also make sure that all people who are important in my life, I would make the time for them. So I keep reassuring my friends and family, I will always be there for me, for you. I might not be the one reaching out right now because I have a lot going on, but whenever you would call me, I would be there, and I always make sure to keep it because it's important for me. And whenever I spend time with these people, I make sure that I'm there. So my phone in the pocket or in the bag, I'm really there. I'm not thinking about work like I used to do. I'm really there with my mind, spirit, and heart. And this is really a game changer because it somehow makes this harmony real also in my own energy. So yeah, this is my way today of keeping up with all these things. And it's a real game changer in my way of spending my weeks, my days, because yeah, I would never say again I can't go for a run because I have work, or I will
Mm.
arrive late to this because either I go or I don't. But when I commit to something, I do it, and I'm really there. I'm not half there, having an eye on my phone and emails.
Yeah, absolutely. As we said previously, it's all about the balance. And this brings me to just like a little dilemma that I keep seeing on social media, at least on the Arab social media. Everybody is, as it cussing feminism. No one wants to be the strong, independent woman anymore. Everybody is now pro the concept of just be getting married, being a stay-at-home mom. Um, um, so I would say a balance, or uh, yeah, a balance that enables women to work while doing other stuff would just break this dilemma. There will be no dilemma. You can do both, actually.
But in order to be able to do both, men has have to
Mm.
learn to do both as well.
Absolutely.
Men has have to start investing in their personal life the way women started to invest into their personal life. Otherwise, we won't manage to do it. And everyone has a take into that. I will give you a simple example.
Mhm.
A few months ago, we had with my associate a meeting where we had in front 5 6 C-level from a big company from the CAC 40. And he would call me and say 1 hour before, he said, I have a problem. I'm not sure I'm gonna make it to the meeting because I had to take my daughter back from school, so I had to manage her. It wasn't school, it was daycare for
Mm.
babies.
Baby, yeah.
And I said, "Is she sick?" No, she's not. He used to do meetings with with her daughter, with his daughter, in the baby porte bébé. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know either.
And he said she's not sick. So why can't you join the meeting? Usually you join meeting with her in your arms. I said, well, it's not the same. Those are C-level people. I can just show up with my daughter. I said, why not? And I said,
Mm,
well, I fear that they would think that I'm not serious about that. I said, if they think that, I don't want to work with them. You don't want to work with them neither.
yeah.
And for me, it's one opportunity to show that a man can take care of his family while working as well,
Mm,
and to change the mentality. And by allowing him to do so, I make a space for his wife, his companion, to have a career as well and to work. Uh,
mm,
so it's d'une pierre deux coups. So it's two wins in both ways, showing an example to traditional big corporate, and show something new. It made them smile.
yeah.
They were surprised, but it's also the responsibility of structures of companies like startups to show this and to shift minds,
Mm,
because without men investing their personal life, we won't have a real gender equality.
mm, mm,
Uh,
mm.
We need them.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a valid point. Well, this conversation has been such a deep dive, not just into AI and leadership, but into clarity, into courage, into the beauty of carving one's own path. I mean, we've known each other, as you said, since high school, and we did every year together in high school, then classe préparatoire, then so I'm so proud of how far we've come, how far you have come since we were little teenagers. Thank you for giving us your time today, sharing your story with so much authenticity. Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab. Thank you for the invite and for your time and very bright questions. I was
Thank
really glad to answer